and then was an EMT as well. And so with that, my journey with the Beamer really started probably maybe 2 years ago after I had left the police force. My mom was introduced to it. My mom is a naturopath, so she holds an ND and she has her own center, a wellness center. And so she started to use it. And I'll be honest with you guys, when she introduced it and when she was talking about the benefits, I'm like, I'm young, I don't need that. Like, that sounds great. Kudos to you. But I have to tell you, whether you are, in your awesome vintage years where you're just loving life, or you're young, it makes an impact, and it has made a tremendous impact for me, and you'll get to hear that as I speak. And so when I first was introduced to the Beamer, I really didn't see a significant difference. I wasn't like, this is amazing or this is awesome. I just kind of had the faith to believe that it worked. Mm-hmm. And I think that I know that they had touched on emotions, especially if you're match point or if you're doing something like that, that is really critical, that what we believe really impacts our life. If you believe you will win, you'll probably have a way higher likelihood of winning than someone who believes they're already defeated based off their opponent. It doesn't matter if you're the best or if you're the least. Your biggest superpower is really your belief in yourself and your belief in what you can do. And so I believed that the Beamer was going to help me. I believed that the Beamer impacts me, my body, my microcirculation, and what goes on. Even though I'm super young, I'm 30 years old, and I don't have some issues that people have. And so fast forward for using the Beamer for, I would probably say, a couple months. I couldn't go a day without it, because I would do the Beamer and I would get immediate energy. I would do the Beamer and I would just feel alive. And I cannot tell you the blessing that the Beamer has been for me in my life, and how much I love it and how much I would recommend it without a doubt to anyone who is even considering it. And why is just, I'll give you a couple different examples. So I love to travel. That's one thing I was not able to do working in public safety. I worked in public safety for over a decade. Yes, I know I look very young, but I worked for over a decade in public safety, and you give your life to that. You really have no freedom in your schedule or your time. And so I wasn't able to travel. And so when I left that, I traveled a lot. In 2019, I went to 4 continents, 3 countries, actually, I think way more than 3 countries, and a ton of states, because that's my heart. And so one thing I've recognized is that whether you're me and you want to travel, or you're an athlete and you're traveling for your career, don't travel without the Beamer. I drove to Utah and I had the Beamer. There's something called a B-Sit, which is part of the Beamer. And I put it on my lap and I ran it every hour of my 11-hour drive to Utah. Never had to really stop. I stopped once to get food and go to the bathroom and get gas. But what that was, is that was causing microcirculation in my body to constantly be going in my legs as I'm sitting down. Guys, we don't know the power yet of the Beamer and how it impacts our bodies and our cells and our vessels and getting blood moving. And so I was able to do that drive. When I traveled to Australia and Fiji, I also brought the Beamer. I took it as a carry-on, and not only did it on the plane, but did it when I got there every single day. Because one thing that we all struggle with is, and it just left my brain, what was it? Fatigue. I'm blanking on the word that it's called, but fatigue when we travel and then we get tired because it's a different time zone.
Jet lag?
Yes, thank you. Jet lag. So I didn't experience jet lag on those trips, and I can only contribute that to the Beamer. And then probably one of the most powerful things for me in the Beamer is that I went to Colorado Springs, Colorado last year. And if you don't know, I know that there's an Olympic training center there in Colorado. I don't know if tennis is there. It might not be there, but there's another Olympic training center there. And I got severe altitude sickness, and I didn't know it was altitude sickness. And if I did not bring the beamer, if I did not take the initiative to pack it and bring it as my carry-on, my whole trip, I went there for a work conference, I couldn't have attended. The only time I got relief from altitude sickness is when I was laying on the beamer and had the mat on my head. So I was laying on the mat, and then I had a little pad over my head. Why? Because altitude sickness is a lack of oxygen. And what do circulation do? What do our vessels do? It brings oxygen to our bodies. So when I was able to use the beamer to bring that circulation, open up my vessels and bring that oxygen to my brain, that's why I got sick. It was lacking oxygen. I was able to go the whole day. And then by the end of the day, I was like, oh, it's time to do the beamer again. And so I just cannot stress enough the importance of having the beamer, the importance of using the beamer daily, the importance of microcirculation in our bodies, and how intertwined everything is the beamer helps with circulation, which helps with energy, which can help with emotions, which we could just go on for an hour on just that one sentence of how one thing impacts another thing, impacts another thing. And I know that you know that as being athletes, of your routine is important, what you eat is important, how you train is important. Everything is just one piece of the puzzle that will collaboratively build this complete puzzle. And in the end, ultimately, that's top of your game. That's pro, that's championships, that's winning. And all those things couldn't happen if all the pieces weren't together. So I can open it up for questions, or if you have any questions for me that you would want to ask me, we can do that, or I can just keep on talking about the amazing effects of circulation. I can do whatever you would like.
Maybe, Kameryn, if you can expound on the emotional part of it, and how sometimes you go down to a level where, you know, you need to just have that support. If you don't have the personnel that, or just individuals that can help you, lift you, that, you know, just touch on what, you know, the beamer can do, and what you connecting with a community. Like, this is what we're doing here, building a family that want to, wherever they're at in their health journey. And I know we targeted professional athletes, not just, you know, competing, but even the weekend warrior, that they work all week long and they're just waiting for the weekend so they can get out on the court, or get out on the, you know, whether it's a tennis court, basketball court, cross country, you know, that all this is important. And even the stay-at-home mom or dad, because I can almost put my money on an at-home mother that has children, you know, different activities that they have to tend to the children, they have to do the, you know, the meals, and they have to think of appointments, and they're running. They're athletes, but nobody gives them that platform. Is that I don't think anybody can keep up with, a husband could not keep up with him. And so so just touch on all those little areas if you're able to.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I'm really glad you brought that up. Before I kind of digress into this emotional part, I want to just point out that there are so many things in each individual career that we have, and, you know, especially in the world of sports, that you have a coach, you will have, you know, some people have a dietitian, or they have someone doing this, or they have a form coach, or depending on what sport you're in, you have a variety of different people that you gladly invest your money in. Why? Because of the return that will come out of that. And one thing that's so unique about the beamer is that you don't only gain the return, but everyone you're around, your family, your children, your animals will gain the benefit of that. So it's not just a, hey, I'm gonna, you know, do it for me and for what I'm up to and my goals. It's, hey, I'm gonna do it for me and for my spouse and for my kids and for other things. And there's so many amazing testimonials. And I'll just say one, and I apologize if this has been used before, but I'll just say one quick one before I digress into emotions, is that there is a bicyclist, and his name is leaving my brain at this 1 second, but he did a bicyclist journey where they were doing a competition where it was a relay. So there was 5 guys on his team, and it's 24-hour relay. And so I think it's
Greg Peterson.
Huh?
It was. Are you talking about Greg Peterson?
Yes. Did you already hear this story?
Yeah. No. Go ahead.
Okay, so because I was gonna say I don't want to steal your thunder.
No, we have no.
But Greg, thank you, Greg Peterson. So they were doing this bicyclist relay, and remind me, was it 1,000 miles? How many miles was it? Do you remember?
They have to go from a certain a state to some other state. I don't know.
I want to say it was like 1,000 or 1,500 miles or beyond, and it was nonstop. And so Greg Peterson had discovered the Beamer, and so what he said is, hey, I'm going to use the Beamer. The Beamer, you can get a Beamer with the battery, so you don't need to plug it in. And they drove in a 12-passenger van. So if you weren't currently actively cycling, you were riding in the 12-passenger van, and people would eat and sleep and do all the things. And so his secret weapon was he had a Beamer in the back seat. He laid it on the back seat, and when you were done, you beamed. Before you went, you beamed. And what happened is not only did they win, not only did they win this relay, the next person that came in, the next team that came in after them, I want to say was 21 hours later.
Yeah.
They had literally spent a whole day. They have gotten rest, refreshed, eaten, done everything of that. And they were trying to figure out, how did you do this? How did your team do this? Are you on steroids? What are you doing? And it was an actual experiment with the Beamer. And why? Because they didn't have the fatigue that any of the other teams had. They didn't have the issues with something called rhabdo, where your muscles start to break down from overuse. Why? Because they constantly had microcirculation. They constantly had blood flowing. Blood is life. I mean, if you don't understand that concept, that is the core of the Beamer, is blood is life. You don't have free flowing blood, you don't have life. People who have severe health issues, limb amputations, why? They didn't have blood flowing to that part of the body. So I'll kind of now move into emotions, but I just kind of wanted to say that the Beamer is one of the greatest investments you could ever do, not only for yourself, but for your entire household, and for your teammates, and for other people that you work with, and for other people that you want to see succeed. If they're open. I mean, I'm sure she addressed it, and she didn't. We won't get into it, but Tom Brady uses the Beamer, and let's just say, I mean, that guy's a beast. 42 and most Super Bowl wins, and amazing. So how do emotions play a part in all of this community that we're a part of? So kind of like I addressed earlier, emotions play a huge part in anything that you're up to. Emotions play a part in interacting with your family, to interacting with your teammates, to interacting with your opponent, to interacting with yourself. And if you don't know how to have a conversation with yourself, if you don't know how to interact with your own emotions, you most definitely cannot interact with the emotions of others that you're playing. And the world is energy. I mean, there's 7 degrees of separation, and we won't get into that, but we're all connected. Okay. The looks that you have with your opponent, the looks that you have during competition, you guys are speaking. It may be nonverbal, but you are speaking, and those who are pro know what I'm talking about. There is unwritten conversation that happens, and a lot of that is your demeanor. You could be the least of these, but if you walk out as I am the best, as, you know I am the best, don't mess with me, I've been practicing, you're going to elude that. People are going to see that, and you can really get into people's psyche doing that. And I won't elaborate too deeply on it, but for anyone in any phase of life, whether you're a stay-at-home mom or you're a pro athlete, I would do some research on something called the OODA loop. It's something that's very important to us and that we use a lot in policing, that's used significantly in the military, and that will literally give you that edge to go forward. And essentially what the OODA loop is that you have anywhere between 1.5 to 3 seconds to get what's called someone's OODA loop, and it's a way that their brain processes things before their brain takes over. And so what this looks like is for us in policing, or for in the military, for example, they would demonstrate this to fighter jet pilots, as the instructor of the fighter jet pilot would be behind the trainee. And all he would say is, don't let me get in front of you. Don't let me get in front of you. And so much so, I'm going to let you take off 5 seconds when you're talking about going at the speed of sound. It's about 750 miles an hour. 5 seconds is a huge advantage, and never let me get in front of you. So the trainees laugh and, well, ha, 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 okay, yeah, what do you, think I can't do it? And what happens is that the trainer will say something on the radio, divert their attention for literally 1.5 seconds, and in that 1.5 seconds, he can get in front of them. Same thing happens for us as policing. Same thing happens in the world. If you're a stay-at-home mom, you want to try this on someone, all you're doing is you have to give someone a response that they were not expecting. So in life, in pro tennis, in everything that we do, there is automatically assumed responses. I hit the ball towards you, you're going to hit the ball towards me. Well, you can change this by getting into someone's OODA loop. And if you just Google OODA loop, I think it's OOLUM. You can, that might be a misspelling, you can learn more about it, but also a huge advantage. But I digress from that. So back to just emotions and energy and the beamer and how it affects you. So energy is our core being. And one thing that I like to show, I teach classes on energy and emotions, and one thing that I like to show in that class is how we're energetic beings. And so this works perfectly for the beamer. And so I'm going to actually show you, if it's okay with you all. Let me grab it. So this is a children's toy from Amazon, a children's science toy. So it's literally a hollow tube with these wires and then 2 silver conductors. So if you think about our body as an energetic circuit, how the beamer works is it's literally sending the same energy that we vibrate at to our bodies that allows the blood to push to the small veins of our eyes, to the capillaries of our eyes, to our fingertips. I mean, crazy testimonies of people's gray hair turning black using the beamer to their head because so much blood is going to their skull, to their scalp. Amazing cataracts disappearing, amazing stories we won't get into. But this demonstrates our energetic circuit in our body. So if I was to hold one end of this, nothing happens because the circuit is not connected. Now, if I was to connect my hand here, why? Because the circuit is connected. It's literally like I just plugged in something into the socket and I unplugged it. Plugged it in, unplugged it. The beamer does that to your body. It grounds your body to the earth. And the reason why the beamer was created is, if you don't know, we used to walk 7 to 10 miles barefoot a day. There are countries that still do this, and the world thinks, oh my gosh, those poor people, how horrible. No, this is why these people are so healthy. And so the beamer actually simulates to the body walking 7 to 10 miles a day barefoot on the ground with the frequency, the energy that comes out of the beamer. And unfortunately, that same vibrational frequency that comes out of the beamer that we lay on doesn't really exist in today's day and age, because we have concrete and asphalt and all these things that stop our body from being grounded. And so again, I say it again, and I'm going to harp on it again. There is no better investment than the beamer, and I'm not talking about the car. Unless you want to get the car and put your beamer mat in a beamer. That would be the only example of when I would tell you to get the beamer and the beamer. Okay, but get the real beamer, as in the mat, first. Because the car, you'll outlive your car. You will not outlast your beamer. So what else can I say? What else can I touch on? I know I've kind of been talking here for about 15 minutes, so let me know how I can. If anyone has questions, I know this is streaming a couple places, so.
Are we on?
Yeah, we're on.
Oh, okay. Kameryn, if maybe you want to share, you mentioned about your classes. I know that I signed up for one of your classes, and for whatever reason, I was not able to make it. If, I want to give our viewers the liberty of being part of this family, that if they have an interest, that, you're part of our family now too, that they can reach out to you through our the Facebook group. If
Yeah,
if that's
absolutely.
okay with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually have a surprise for everyone here, and uh, I don't even think my sister here knows, but I would like to gift anyone who would like it as part of the offer, that if you decide, hey, I want to jump in, I want to do the Beamer, I want to try it out, I would love to personally give you a free 15-minute session of emotion code. So you can not only address your physical body and your physical body needs of what you need to succeed, but also your emotional needs of really what does it look like to be the top of the top. And that's multifaceted. And so I do teach classes on emotion code. And so essentially what that is how our body interacts with emotions on a daily basis, and how our emotions play such a huge part in our mental well-being and mental warfare that we have, not only with ourselves but with others. That's not a term that's really used a lot now, but if you think about it, I mean, she kind of talked a little bit about my struggles. I definitely struggled with my own mental warfare, and a lot of people, I think that is what keeps them from being that better than the best. They are the best, or they are good, but they just can't get to that next step. And so there's a lot of things that do, but yeah, so I teach 2 classes a month via Zoom. And so if you want more information on how to attend, those are free. They're about an hour each. You can learn more about how our emotions impact our physical well-being and our emotional well-being. You'll get to see a demo of what that looks like, and you'll kind of get to hear more just about frequency and energy. And I'm going to tell you, friends, it is the way of the future. Mark my words, I promise you, energy healing is really going to be the way of the future. And you want to biohack your body, and you want an advanced start now, and start with the Beamer. So yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
Thank
yeah.
you. You are being so generous. I appreciate that. And for those of you, however you linked up, whether it was through the Zoom or through the actual ad that you saw, we did have a front end offer for those that wanted to be a little more connected to us and get extra Beamer sessions. And that was a front end offer for those of you that did take us up on that. Well, you know that we will be connecting with you to set up, or you connect with us on the extra Beamer sessions. But then the back end offer obviously would be that we would want you to think enough of yourself and where you're going to end up in your health journey to want to make an investment in yourself and to be an owner of a Beamer. Because, yesterday I talked what you said about, it's not like just for us, but it's for people that you care.
Yeah.
And we talked about, if you're young enough where your parents right now are like in their 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s, that this is something that's going to be so beneficial to their health, that is going to alleviate you and not having to start on a journey of, doctors in medicines and in medications. But then at the same time, with your children, they're going to see you doing the Beamer, and it is very good for the children too. And so this is not like, oh, I have to spend money on this thing, and no, it's an investment in how much you care for yourself. Loving yourself, automatically you love others. And so that would be we're going to open up the card for those of you that want to take advantage of this. She has offered to give you free a 15-minute personal consultation with her. And I want to take you up on that.
I know, we all want that offer.
Just so that you guys know the gravity of that importance is, so I charge $75 for 30 minutes, and I have people who are more than willing, who are lined up to pay that because they see the benefit. And so it's definitely something that you guys want to take advantage of. It's a huge perk. And so just adding on to kind of what you said, I mean, there's no better care than self-care. And if you can't take care of yourself, I'm going to tell you, you can't adequately take care of others. And if you don't love yourself, it's very hard for you to love others. And these are concepts that I wish I had. I wish I knew younger. And yes, I'm still very young. But if I can see and the benefit of investing in a Beamer for myself at this age, then there's no reason why someone who has chronic issues that can be very clearly addressed with the Beamer cannot see that investment potential, unless you have this mindset of I'm too old, it's not worth it, or I'm not worthy of it, or if this is a kook, it's not going to work, blah 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 blah. And so I can tell you all of those, my friends, are a lie from the pit of hell. They're straight lies. And that I have personally never, ever, ever met someone who owns a Beamer who is not radically in love with its Beamer and the community that comes around it. And we don't really have time to get into how I connected with Dahlia and actually connected with her husband, Graham. And then through that conversation, it was actually Camila that kind of, she said, I'm going to go do the Beamer. And I was like, wait a second. You have a Beamer? I have a Beamer. Hey, friends. And that was the start of literally, we were literally in a hotel lobby. I do not know them from Adam. We don't know. We met on a walk during a 5K. And I started talking to Graham because I think he had a NASA shirt on or SpaceX shirt on. So I was like, oh, tell me what you think about Elon Musk. And we got in this conversation. And then I was just like, nice meeting you, bye. And that one comment literally led to a 3-hour conversation in a hotel lobby, which then went up into the hotel room, and it's super late at night. And I'm like, this is insane. And now led to this really beautiful friendship where, we break bread. They were just over at my house, just right over here. Literally off screen sitting there, and we were just talking, and it's, all that community. It's just that the word Beamer is what really created this friendship in this community, and I have never been so grateful. So don't delay. Do not delay. I'm not just saying that because I'm on our challenge. I would honestly not get on the challenge if I didn't believe in the Beamer. And jokingly, I really honestly thought maybe I should do this challenge with my phone, laying on the Beamer, hey, I'm on the Beamer, friends. But I thought that might be a little too crazy, a little too pushy, and everyone has the right to choose. But I encourage you to do your research, to look at it, and I'm going to tell you to choose to get the Beamer. But you have to make that decision. But yeah, I would love to work with you. I'd love to see you succeed your goals, and a lot can happen in 15 minutes with our emotions. Yeah. So I'll leave it at that, and I'll turn it over back to you guys.
And I want to be able to bring it full circle to where I already knew your mom.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh my goodness, that's right. I didn't even know that she knew my mom. And I don't even know how we discovered that. Somehow we discovered
because of the wellness center, because she had been a speaker.
She asked, what do you know about this, or who told you about the Beamer? And I said, oh, my mom. She has this wellness center. And she's like, wait a second, Pamela Schwarz is your mom? And then I pulled up a photo, and she's like, how is this possible? Out of all the people in California, how am I meeting you? It was insane.
And then Susanna, who's on the call, also came into the picture that you knew her.
Yeah, I know Susanna.
Yeah. Speaking of them, do they have any questions, Susanna and Andine?
Hey, Andine.
And I'm so excited that you're on, and I hope everybody that hears this takes advantage of that 15-minute session with you, because it is such it's just so beautiful, and and it's free. Why not? You never know what we could discover about just something small or maybe not so small that's getting in our way of our of us being able to just have the most optimal health available for us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I just want to say, wow, what a testimony, what a story. And you said a lot of things that really brought forth truth And one of the things that really resonate with me, went home with me, the one with people not going barefoot to be grounded. Because I had that experience where we grew up in the island, St. Vincent, and we
wow.
bare feet by choice. So when we came to the US, we constantly wear socks and we were in shoes all day. And then it started to bother my feet until when I went to massage class, then I realized I have a problem where I am not grounded with the earth. And I couldn't stand up. I couldn't stand up. And then I took off my socks, stopped wearing socks in the house. It took me a whole day. It was like pain just walking bare feet. And after that day, it's like my muscles in my feet got stronger. I'm more connected because a lot of things, even though I'm like crazy health conscious, a lot of things were going on the inside.
Yes.
And now that I'm working with people, you know, I just started my career, it's not even a year yet. There's a lot of people, we talk about doing emotions, and it's today. We need it for today. So true. So many clients that I've worked with who have emotional issues that are causing physical situations. So I was really moved by your testimony, your stories, and I just want to say thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Adine. I just acknowledge you sharing, and what an amazing story you have in growing up, and what an incredible revelation that most of us in the US never have, because, I mean, look at, they have UGG boots for infants. Like, your infant does not need to be wearing UGG boots. I mean, let's, real talk. Sorry if anyone owns Uggs on here, not a knock to you, but the US is brilliant in some things and lacking in others. And so what an incredible experience for you to be able to share really how important it is to ground us in our bodies. And yeah, there's just amazing things going on with emotions and frequencies. And I mean, there are people that you can't even talk about because you sign NDAs that who do emotion code and who do all these things and who own all this stuff. But no one ever knows because there's these things out. But yeah, the world is starting to be awakened, I think, to some of these things. And get on the bandwagon now because you don't want to be left behind.
That's right.
So yeah, so I am just so glad that you resonated and that I spoke that. I mean, only God and only the Beamer, and all glory to him. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, any last call from the two ladies, Susanna and Andine? Any final questions before we close it out, or comments? This has been amazing. So
yeah, with the mind sessions, like how many sessions a person has to take to really see results?
So it's all individually based. This isn't rocket science, and it's not a one pill fits all. So for emotion code, people have seen results literally in the first session. I have an amazing testimony of a lady who saw significant results in what she was up to accomplish in one session. Some people, it takes 5 sessions. Some people, I mean, I still do emotion code, and I've been doing it, goodness, probably 3 or 4 years. And one thing we have to recognize is that so our body is like a waste receptacle. Okay, we build up waste. It's just a natural habit. And so the body is then meant to purge that waste. Well, a lot of times we are not innate with our body enough we're great at purging physical products, but we don't know how to purge emotional things. So what do? We stuff it in a box, or we pretend it's not there. And then we live on our lives knowing that, hey, that really affects us. Mm-hmm. And so the goal is not to get rid of all of our drama and all of our, nonsense that happened, but the goal is to just kind of dump out the waste receptacle enough to where it's not overflowing. Mm-hmm. So when you have a trash can that's overflowing, it starts to rot. That's just common knowledge. So some people, they have a set objective. I want to lose this weight, or I want to get rid of something that starts with a C that I can't really say to be compliant, but you can figure it out. This issue that's a large mass of cells that could be life-threatening that starts with a C. Hopefully you know what I'm talking about now. Or I want to work on, I had someone who wanted to work on financial abundance and getting promoted and some things like that. And so some people see results, some people it takes longer. I personally never had someone who came back to me and said, I want a refund or this didn't work. But I have a lot of people who have some incredible testimonials who come back and be like, my life has forever changed. I don't know how I could thank you. You saved my life. You saved my son's life. I mean, for me, I would not be living, breathing, and talking 100% without emotion code and God. If God did not reveal emotion code to me at the time that he did, I was done. I had done everything. I literally, get it when I tell you, I had done everything available to do to help my body, except address the emotions that were causing all of my physical problems. So it's a little bit of a vague answer. I know, Adine, I'm sorry, but depending on what you want to work on is depending on the path that we'll take. But I can tell you, everyone has trapped emotions. Everyone does. You can't get away from it. Everyone's continually trapping emotions. And it's amazing, amazing, amazing tool. When you can harness your emotions, you can literally change the world.
Yes, that's a very, you know, how you answered that everybody is different. It could be, and it's the same way with a beamer. Like when people ask, well, when will I see results immediately? Everybody is different. I did not feel anything. I didn't see anything. And I just felt, hey, I'm perfectly balanced. I'm in good shape. But I understood microcirculation. I never had even heard the word, but to me, it stood for something huge in my body. I mean, something supernatural that happens. It's just going on. And I just went on faith that immediately I knew that I was going to be a Beamer owner, because, you know, that is the ultimate in terms of developing, you know, or taking your level to the next, or your health to the next level. So some immediately, some 2, 3, 4, 5 sessions, and some even a month, 2 months, you know, but everybody's different, but definitely we all will benefit sooner or later, just knowing, having that faith that it's going to happen. But I just want to thank you so much, Kameryn. You just enlighten us, you know, in another level about the where our emotions are, where they can be. And some of us maybe might not even know that we have a challenge there, but just getting this, you know, information from you is awesome. And then, hey, let's go get on the Beamer.
Firing all cylinders, tackling it from every angle.
Well, I'm so grateful to be on. And then before I go, Adine, were you going to say something after that last comment or no?
Yeah, I wanted to say, you didn't mention how people can reach you, because I'm definitely interested to do a free session. And I know there are a bunch of clients that I can say offhand who needs your service. So I would like to extend that to them as well, if that's okay.
Yeah, you can definitely. So, I mean, I don't know how is the best way to do it. So, I mean, probably reach out to Camila and then determine. I mean, I have no problem sharing my phone number, but again, I'm not sure what is the best way in terms of this challenge model. I'm new to this challenge model and this challenge framework. So, do you want to address that, Camila? Should I give
think, you know, I mentioned that you just put it in the chat, you know, in the private group, and then we will just from there.
Sure.
You're going to be on there too, and if you see a comment that relates to you, then you can. If we haven't addressed it. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So Adine, I'll just put my information in a post. You're in the private Facebook group, I take, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I mean, I can give it to you now if you want it, but I can also drop it in the private Facebook group.
Whoa.
Okay. No, I wasn't sure if she was going to say anything. So yeah, and so then you can have that, and then yeah, we can definitely have a conversation of, you know, kind of what does it look like? What your clients, what are your clients' needs? I typically have gotten to the point where I don't really give out free sessions anymore. That's how you start building a business. But then once you build a business, you're like, oh man. And so my referrals are word of mouth for the most part. And then there's some really, really great things that I'm working on in terms of clientele and kind of my heart and my mission.
Clients, it would be for me.
I'm sorry, you
but
cut out. What'd you
I would
say?
refer them to you.
Oh, okay, yeah. So,
yeah, and
perfect.
just
So yeah, so I'll, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, and Dean, if you have anybody that is purchases a Beamer, that is one of her bonus offers through this challenge, is how she, wants to kind of give back, by
Give back and share, yeah.
Mhm.
And put my money essentially where my mouth is, hey, I will give you my time, which is invaluable. I mean, time, you can never put a price on time. People do, but theoretically it's priceless. And so I will give you my time just to say, hey, this is how much I believe and I'm confident in the results of the Beamer and the impact of the Beamer on our lives and our emotions and what we want to go through. So right when we're done here, I'll go in the Facebook group, I'll make a post, I'll put my contact information in there, and then you guys can reach out. Text is probably the best way, or email, but because I'm not always able to answer my phone. But yeah, so I'm just so grateful. Thank you guys all. Thank you for having me on your challenge. Thank you just for the opportunity. And I mean, go get a Beamer. Okay, so.
Yes, thank you so much. This was amazing. I'm about to go rewatch this because it was that good. And just a reminder to everyone, we'll have links in the comments under this video. Tomorrow we'll be live, same time. 2 p.m. is the plan, but there's been some technical difficulties, so we may have to be live on YouTube like we are today instead of Facebook. So just thank you for having grace with us as we are working through that. And that's it. So thank you, ladies. We'll see you all tomorrow, and look for Kameryn in the Facebook group. Take care.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.